Om Tyageshwaram Ramakrishnam Saradam Matra Rupinim Vivekanandam Acharyam Natva Vakshami Shuddhe Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Bhaishajena Yopakarottam Paravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. We discussed the sutra which deals with vitarkas in detail. The sutra itself discusses vitarkas in detail and the pratipaksha bhavana, the counter to it, so to say. Vitarka himsadayaha, that we saw. There are, for 10 yamas and yamas, there are 10 vitarkas. We can call them transgressions. They are the opposite or counters of yamas and niyamas, transgressions, like himsa, etc. Himsa, asatya, like that. Steya, abrahmacharya, or parigraha, like that. There are 10 of them. Now these could be krita karita anumodita. You see, the role of the person, the role of the yogi in these transgressions is what is defined in this term. It could be engaged into by the person himself or herself. It could have been sanctioned, or it could have been got done, or it could have been sanctioned. Krita, karita, anumodita. There's different roles, different causes. Lobha, krodha, moha, purvaka. These are the causes, or mrudu, madhya, adimatra, the intensity. Different varieties of these transgressions. But all of them are dukkha, jnana, ananta phala. They bring untold misery and ignorance. Iti pratipaksha bhavanam. This is the pratipaksha bhavanam. So both have been discussed or enlisted in this sutra. And Vyasa gives a detailed commentary on that. So we see that irrespective of remoteness of the role, the onus or the result is going to come to the yogi. However, remotely one may be involved in that act of transgression, the result is going to come. So that is one point. There is no escape from it. By saying that I am very remotely or indirectly involved, there is no escape. Then there is no justification from as to why we did it. So the second compound, lobha, krodha, moha, purvaka, that gives the reason as to why one engages in transgressions. So that's it's important to know this, because if we have to deal with the transgressions, if we have to avoid transgressions, we should know why is there this tendency for transgressions. Why is there a tendency to speak untruth? Why is there a tendency to hurt people? Why is there a tendency to grab things that don't belong to oneself? What we are obviously dealing with are the transgressions or tendencies for transgressions. But it's like a symptom, and there is the underlying cause to it. And that cause is this lobha or krodha or moha. Moha is kind of ignorance. If you think of it, it is the kleshas basically. Raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. These are the causes. So either it is attachment or infatuation with something, or it is hatred for something, or it is fear of something. These are the underlying causes which cause or which trigger the tendency to transgress. Because one doesn't simply speak untruth for its own sake. Something triggers it. So we should know that if the tendency is coming within us, we should analyze and pinpoint the cause. That helps us in handling the situation, in handling our own mind, in handling that urge to transgress. Or if it has already happened, then why did we do it? That analysis is necessary, and in that sense, this part of the sutra is important. It tells us why there is this tendency to transgress yamas and niyamas. And in handling and dealing with them, it comes handy. So that is the second compound. And the third is the intensity. However faint or middling or intense, mrudu, madhya, adimatra, it doesn't matter. In the proportionate results we will get. We cannot say it was very mild transgression, but mild transgression will generate mild results. But the problem is, the transgressions are mild today, but if we are careless, tomorrow those very transgressions will become, their intensity will become middling, and then it will become very intense. So that's why even the mild ones cannot be taken lightly. They have to be dealt with and handled. So this is about the vitarkas. And Pratipaksha Bhavana is that they bring suffering and ignorance. That is the Pratipaksha Bhavana. So that's how we control that tendency to transgress, by generating the counter samskara. And that counter samskara is this: the result of these transgressions will be nothing but misery and ignorance. This is the counter samskara. Now, Vyasa, when he's giving commentary, he gives a very graphic description. He takes the example of himsa. But as I understand, what he's trying to tell is that most of the transgressions invariably bring some discomfort, some misery to the person other than the transgressor. Invariably it happens. To the society, you can say, at large, or to individuals in the society. There is some discomfort, some misery befalls members of the society when anyone transgresses yamas and niyamas. That's also a part of dukkha that we should think about. That when I transgress, I will be bringing suffering to others. And that's also a part of Pratipaksha Bhavana. That will also check the tendency to transgress. So that is one part of Pratipaksha Bhavana, its effect on the society. If I engage in these transgressions, it will have a negative effect, a miserable effect on the society. And that is one of the thoughts that checks the tendency to transgress. The other is the suffering that is going to come to the transgressor himself or herself. Invariably it will come, that we saw. Every parinama samskara tapa dukkha gunavritti virodhacha dukkhamev sarvam vivekina. A thinking person will see that every pursuit of these kleshas and transgressions, it is invariably going to end into misery. And there is misery, it will make us addicted to those transgressions, so that it's samskara, dukkha and all that. We have dealt with it earlier. No state of temporary happiness is long lasting. So it will also go living, wanting for more and all that. So invariably misery will be the effect or result or follow of the transgression. This is another counter, Pratipaksha Bhavana. And the third counter is Ajnana. See, all these kleshas and transgressions, they are like bait, so to say. But inside is the hook of ignorance. On the hook of ignorance, all these things are hanging, so to say. We swallow the bait and we swallow the hook of ignorance. So every transgression we embrace, we are embracing ignorance. It strengthens the ignorance. And every time we reject the tendency to transgress, every time we stick to yamas and niyamas, we are asserting knowledge. We are asserting our real nature. So that is the most important part of Pratipaksha Bhavana. That we want to move towards knowledge. That is our journey. And every transgression is going to assert ignorance. It is going to take us back. That is also a part of Pratipaksha Bhavana. This also checks this tendency to to transgress. So this was the sutra, and Vyasa, as I said, he gives a very graphic description and tries to tell us how every time we transgress, it creates trouble for others, it creates trouble for the transgressor, and also strengthens the ignorance. Every transgression has innumerable varieties. That also Vyasa has tried to calculate, so to say, 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. So he has gone on very detailed about it. We need not go. The point in all this is that it is very important to catch these tendencies of transgression at an early stage. That is the most important. That's where the introspection or the sensitivity of the yogi's mind comes into play. The transgression has to be caught at a very early stage. A tendency to transgress has to be caught at a very early stage. If not, then it's difficult. Once it crosses a certain stage, then it's difficult to counter it. Only at an early stage can it be countered. So that is the skill, so to say, and the refinement of the yogi, the culture, the sensitivity. Now it all depends on that. As we grow in this spiritual life, we get that, we understand that, so to say, that what is happening in the mind, and we can take appropriate measures. The point is, measures have to be taken. We cannot let any thought just die because it was harmless, because it did not really convert into any action. No, maybe it was very mridu, as Patanjali says. Just because it was mridu, it cannot be let to die of its own, because it will come back with a double force. So that one has to be very careful. At the same time, there is also another view about this. Sometimes it is advisable that if you have thoroughly done Pratipaksha Bhavanam and you are convinced about it, then you can let it go. In the sense, they give the example of someone pestering you for something and you neglect that person, and then that person will just drop off. So sometimes some of these saints and all, they have given this advice also. If you have taken sufficient measures to guard yourself against transgressions at a point, not a very early stage, but at a later stage of your spiritual life, you can neglect those tendencies to transgress. Don't feed them anything, just they will die of themselves. So, but that happens at a later stage. At an early stage, we have to fight every tendency to transgress with this Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Now this is where the subject of these yamas comes to a particular stage. So Patanjali started with this Ashtanga Yoga description as Heyopaya, the means to get rid of misery. That was the Ashtanga Yoga. And first two angas were this Yama and Niyama. 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Why they become the foundation for spiritual life, for yogic life. We discussed all that. Then came the subject of vitarka, transgressions in these practice of yamas and niyamas, and how to deal with those. That also dealt with. So we generally now look to the third yoganga, yama, niyama, and then what is next. But Patanjali takes a slight diversion. And he is going to tell us the result of being established in these yamas and niyamas. He is going to devote a number of sutras as to what is the result that yogi gets when he or she gets established in these yamas and niyamas. Now, the one thing is, it is not that one has to be fully established in yamas and niyamas before taking up the third yoganga, which is asana. It is not that. It is not that first you be established in yamas, then you established in niyamas, then you take asana. It's not like that. We start to whatever we can. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. We start with that. And as we practice, everything becomes firmer and firmer. Our yama niyamas become firm, our practice becomes firm, and to that extent our asana and pranayama, pratyahara, the further yogangas also start becoming productive, or becoming, we start becoming established, getting established in those yogangas. So it's not that we have to go step by step in terms of being established in the lower one and then only attempting the next one. It's not that. So he's giving the result of being established in these yama niyamas, and obviously a person who is established in these is also established in samadhi. We should understand that. If a person is thoroughly established in the practice of ahimsa or satya, we can take it for granted that that person is thoroughly established in the state of samadhi. That's a given kind of thing. Okay, so now these, what happens when one is established in these practices, and he said that person gets certain powers. Certain powers, we call it powers. We can call them alaukika powers. We can call them miraculous powers, because this cannot be explained by physical science. Those powers that a yogi gets cannot be explained by physical sciences. So they are called miraculous, but Swamiji has told that there is no miracle in that. These are forces of nature, and if we study, we find this is nothing but force of character. The powers that these yogis display, or these powers which get displayed in the lives of yogis, they are powers of their character. And in our day-to-day spiritual life, actually we make use of these. It's not something new to us. But Patanjali is going to exactly pinpoint it. So first he says, ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairatyaga. Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairatyaga. That is, when a yogi is established in the discipline of ahimsa, then in his or her presence, sannidho, in his or her presence, there is absence of enmity, vairatyaga, absence of enmity. And Vyasa gives a commentary, sarva praninam bhavati. That absence of enmity happens to all the animals, to all the beings. And Vyasa's bhashya on all these few sutras is very sparse, not much. Most of the sutras is very sparse. Some sutras he has elaborated. So the yogi has achieved perfection in ahimsa. That is, through mind, body, speech, there is no thought of himsa. Even at the cost of his or her life, there is no reaction, tendency to react, tendency to hurt. It is not there. Absolutely free from all tendency of himsa. Then that person is established in the practice of ahimsa. When that happens, then tat sannidho, in the presence of such a yogi, there is absence of enmity in all beings who are around him or her. That is what it means. And the sub-commentators, they tell, not only human beings, but even the animals. Those are, so to say, there are certain animals who have ingrained enmity towards other class of animals, like cat and mouse, or there is sarpanakula, like that, snake and mongoose. They have ingrained enmity towards each other, but even such animals, they lose that enmity in the presence of such a yogi. And of course, human beings will lose all sense of enmity all sense of hatred, anger in the presence of such a yogi. Now, as I said, this cannot be explained by physical sense, so we have to call it alaukika. But it is nothing but the force of character. That force of character of the yogi is such that it just eliminates the ideas of enmity and hatred from the minds of all those who are in his or her presence. That is the force of character. And now we are making use of this actually. See, when we go to pilgrimage centers, what are we doing? See, pilgrimage centers are the centers where some great saint was born or practiced austerities there, intense austerities. And that force of character, so to say, is still lingering, and people go there to be benefited from that. So that's why I said, these things we are using in our day-to-day life. When we come to temple, what is it that makes a place a temple? God is worshipped there every day. There's a collective force of character, so to say, of various devotees coming there, praying, holy thoughts in the minds of those devotees. All these together contribute to a force of character to that place. And we go there to draw benefit from that. So this is not something new that we are completely unaware of. But Patanjali is pinpointing it, that this is the source. It is that person, that person's character, and the force of that character, which is influencing all those who come in that ambit. That's how satsanga is so much emphasized. In satsanga, what we do? We bring ourselves in the proximity of saints with a view that we can draw something from them. That character, that force of character. We want that. And the best satsanga is to read the lives of saints. When we read their lives, when our mind dwells on those characters, on those characteristics, that also influences our life. We are again doing the same thing. We are drawing on that force of character. So, in every way, there is this phenomena of the force of character, which influences those who come in that ambit. And Patanjali has, so to say, codified it, put it in a sutra, saying that when one yogi gets established in ahimsa, every being coming in the ambit of that yogi will have their enmity, so to say, erased from their mind. So that is the first of the sutras that deals with this result of being established in various disciplines of yama. The second is satya. Satya is the second discipline. And he says, satya pratisthayam kriya phalashrayatvam. So when a yogi gets established in truth, then that yogi or his or her words, they become the support for the results of action. Kriya phala is the results of action. Ashraya, support. So yogi becomes, or his words become, or her words become support for the results of action. What does this mean? The yogi is established in truth. That means in every way he or she has lived a truthful life. Now, this is not a joke. To lead a truthful life in every possible way is not a joke, but that person has done it. That is the level of commitment and living example of truth. Such a person, his or her vak, speech, words become amogha, infallible. That is what it means. The meaning of this sutra is a person who is established in truth, his or her words become infallible. Amogha vak bhavati. What it means, we'll see in our next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna.
प्रभु मन वचन एकाधा ज्योतिरज्योतिर्जल हृदिकन्दर ज्योतिरज्योतिर्जल हृदिकन्दर पुनितमभञ्जनः प्रभु पुनितमभञ्जनः नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातिक नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनातिक मनोवचनैकाधा प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधा ज्योतिरज्योतिर्जलहृदिकन्दर ज्योतिरज्योतिर्जलहृदिकन्दर पुनितमभञ्जनः प्रभु पुनितमभञ्जनः भुजभुजलङ्गरङ्गभङ्गमादे अङ्गसङ्गमृदङ्ग भुजभुजलङ्गरङ्गभङ्गमादे अङ्गसङ्गमृदङ्ग गायच्छन्दभक्तरम् आरते छन्दभक्तरन्द आरते कमार जय जय आरते कमार हर हर आरते कमार शिव शिव आरते कमार गुरु महाराज तरसा त्वयि रामकृष्णे मत्यामृतं तव पदं मरणो नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम देवबन्धो मुक्तिं करोति कलुषं कारे शान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नामनाथ यस्मादहं शरणो जगदेक गम्या यस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम देवबन्धो ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ नमः भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। प्रकृतिं परमामभयां वरदां नररूपधरां जनतापहरां शरणागतसेवकतोषकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां गुणहीनसुतामपराधयुतां कृपयाद्य समुद्धर मोहगतां हरणीं भवसागरपारकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां विषयं कुसुमं परिहृत्य सदा चरणाम्बुरुहामृतशान्तिसुधाम् इव भृङ्गमनो भवरोगहरां प्रणमामि परां जननीं च कृपां कुरु महादेव सुतेषु प्रणतेषु च चरणाश्रयदाने कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं शारदे ज्ञानदायिके पापेभ्यो नः सदा रक्ष कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते रामकृष्णगतप्राणां तन्नाम श्रवणप्रियां रञ्जिताकारां प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिणी अस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः देवीं प्रसन्नां प्रणताभ्यहन्त्रे योगेन्द्रपूजां युगधर्मपात्रे तां शारदां भक्तिविज्ञानदात्रे दयास्वरूपां प्रणमामि स्नेहेन बद्धासि मानोऽस्मदीयं दोषानशेषां स्वगुणीकरोषि आहेतुनानोदयसे सदोषां स्वाङ्के गृहीत्वा यदिदं विचित्रं प्रसीदमाते विनयेन याचे नित्यं भवस्नेह अवते सुतेषु प्रेमैकबिन्दुं चिरदग्धचित्ते येषुं च चित्तं कुरु न सुशान्तम् जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये